We have been asked several times for details how we design our shows, so here's how we started styling the show for our Haunted Hollywood Halloween 2021. Haunted Hollywood began as a concept in 2016 for Halloween 2017. Then research began in January 2017 by watching the classic monster movies that I had personally never seen, like Dracula, Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and even silent classics like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. The 2017 concept was a haunted monster museum where the monsters would come alive between lightning flashes when the Hollywood sign changed to Halloween. So the overall decor and yard layout was different, but that summer was when I was glued to my computer importing classic footage from dozens of movies, choosing clips for the main show and party quizzes, and editing effects like the Hollywood Hills, Moon, and Dracula. I wanted Dracula as an interactive porch greeter projection effect, but there is only one full body shot of Dracula talking in that entire movie, and it is not very long. I painstakingly created a custom mask traveling frame by frame to cut him away from the background, did the same to the bat flying in the window from a different scene, layered them over looping clouds, then adjusted timing to match different short audio clips from the same movie that would hopefully make sense independently. Thankfully, black and white is forgiving, so overall it works well, even 4 years later using a step mat to trigger a sprite player with projector in the graveyard archway instead of an infrared garage door trigger on the walkway the first time.
I trust you have kept your coming here a secret.
I couldn't resist changing Hooray for Hollywood into a minor key and using digitized pipe organ for our music, but it was Glenn's brilliant brainstorm that we could easily change Hollywood to Halloween for the iconic sign in the hills, so I found a good photo of the real Hollywood Hills, cut around the letters in Photoshop, then hand drew the alterations to the letters to change into Halloween. I added an old film reel countdown and searchlights when the show was starting, and I thought each lightning sequence needed a little something more, so I chose icons related to each movie, like the Sphinx and Pyramids, the windmill for Frankenstein, the castle for the bride, a running and howling werewolf, flying bats. Then I added Skull Island when we added King Kong this year. It's amazing what free green screen animations you can find on YouTube. In 2017, we had a physical moon screen on the low-rise roof of my old one-story house, so we added some foam hills in front for more front projection space, and the front projector also acted as spotlights for each monster. For the movie clips, we rear projected onto a screen in the garage, so I spent a lot of time carving and painting a gilded proscenium arch, but since we couldn't light the proscenium from the front, or we would splash light onto the projection screen, all that work was lost in the darkness. I did not forget that, and since this year I needed to combine the separate videos into a single front projected video for our new layout, I found a proscenium image online that I liked that was high enough resolution to look realistic when projected so large, then stretched it to fit our stage. Bonus points if you recognize that gilded arch. Another lesson from 2017 was that our show was too long, mostly due to the slower pacing of the classic movies. This year, I worked hard at editing even more, and I was able to get our original 20-minute show of 5 monsters down to a 15-minute show of 6 monsters, adding King Kong and replacing Nosferatu with Dracula. Once the timing was set by the new edit, I redid the Moon and Hills footage timed to match and layered both into the same master show video, adjusting relative sizes as necessary. Then it was ready to use as the master track in Glenn's show automation software to add the effects around the yard. What would happen during which movie clip was the subject of dinner table discussion for months until we settled on what you saw in the final show video, with physical props lighted and sometimes moving, plus video clips that appeared in other locations, like the luminous laboratory in the balcony and the King Kong Beauty and the Beast scene in the turret, with more details in their own tutorial videos. There is a decent amount of technology to synchronize this show. We started buying Sprite triggerable media players last year for our own haunted mansion, and they work great, playing a steady-state loop, then a triggered video plugged into a projector and a small Bose speaker. Since these speakers tend to time out without active input, We needed keep alive audio on the steady state video, so we decided on chirping crickets. So if you pay attention, you hear a lot of overlapping crickets around our yard. You can trigger the sprite players many ways, by step mat like for Dracula, and by DMX input from show automation software on a laptop. We used DMX cables for previous shows, but Glenn was excited to try wireless DMX this year, and it worked great all around our yard. The show laptop was cabled to power and its own DMX output, with an HDMI cable directly to the main projector hidden on the driveway, and a stereo audio cable out to the receiver behind the big screen for the main show speakers flanking the red carpet. He also set up a few DMX spotlights controlled by the show automation software. Glenn was responsible for all the programming, and he did his usual fantastic job. Each night, we started looping the show at the stroke of 7 p.m., but don't forget to move the mouse arrow off the screen. Once the show loop was running, we could relax and watch the show along with our audience each night. We were so happy that so many adults and children alike enjoyed our haunted Hollywood Halloween, with many younger ones who thought they might be too scared staying to watch multiple times in a row. Hope they return next Halloween when we will be styling a completely different show.